Hey, what's up? This is Venger Satanis, and this little video is about a new creation of mine. In the past, I've made a lot of different trays, like wooden trays, to roll dice in, so they don't roll off the table, they don't roll off into someone's pizza, so don't fall in any little grooves on the table, or just get lost in other people's dice piles. Anyway, just something cool. Here's an example. Something like this, where you just roll it, and then you read the results. Yeah, just kind of keeps things nice in order. This is kind of cool, just like a little felt, and I have a wood burner, which I bought a few years ago, and I just kind of etch things like that into them. Then you can either paint it or stain it. I've got another one over here. I did something very similar. Turn the light on. Right now it's just collecting a bunch of other dice and some pencils and pens and some character portraits and stuff like that. And then I did the same thing over here with the symbols. But then I had the idea of, instead of putting the symbols on the outside where they were just decorative, putting the symbols on the inside where you would roll the dice. Even though rolling dice is an integral part of the game and is very important, and the results matter, for a while now I've been interested in, juicing that up and just doing something different. Not only having the resulting numbers on the dice mean something, but having another less numeric force or influence come into play and enter the narrative to help the players and the game master decide or adjudicate what happens in the game. Just give another element, another added flair. Anyway, so I combined my desire for decorative, esoteric, even demonic or satanic symbolism with my desire to crank things up to 11. So what I have here, something I made again with this is just a wood. I'll show you the other side. So it was just, I don't know what this is, pine or something like that. I bought it at Michael's. You can get it at any craft store. Just a wooden box for, I'm not sure what its normal purpose is supposed to be. Maybe a picture frame or something. I don't know. But it's perfect for my uses. So what I did is I drew out the different symbols and patterns in pencil. Then I used my wood burner and I burned it into the wood, which leaves a nice dark brown burnt kind of coloring. And then I stained it and varnished it and sealed it over the top of that. So it's got a very nice coloring and look. And then I created this list of different things. So say when you roll particular dice and it falls, on a symbol, then that symbol is betrayal in this one. So that would correspond with the result rolled. Then I have different things, if the dice is a certain color, or if you're using a certain type, like a D12, or if a certain number is rolled, then maybe it skews things. Anyway, I used this last night's game, to good effect. It was only rolled on this twice. The first time it didn't actually land on a symbol, so nothing extra happened. The second time it did, and it landed on bloodshed / bloodlust. Originally it was just bloodshed, but I interpreted it during the circumstances and in the context of the game is bloodlust, and basically turning the foe that was being encountered into this one character's, favorite enemy. These ape men that they encountered became, I don't know, just an unnatural blight upon nature that he couldn't stand anymore. And so he went into the whole village and torched them all with a bunch of fireballs. So that drastically changed the whole dynamic of the session, which was kind of cool. It might have aborted any kind of success that the party was entitled to on the outset of their voyage, but it was interesting and fun, and I think used sparingly, this could be very cool. Other, things that the symbols mean, one is fortune and freedom, madness, the sage, corruption, shadows, betrayal, secrets, scrying, things like that. So, I kind of use different themes in fantasy role-playing games and stories in general. Also mixed. Okay, so my camera just ran out of battery and space simultaneously. So, in conclusion, that's why I created this. I don't know if this is an awesome idea or just kind of weird and nonsensical, or more trouble than it's worth. Probably not something that you want people rolling on constantly. Like, you don't want the DM to always be rolling on that, and you don't want the players to always be rolling on that, because then not only do you have whatever result you're looking for, but you have something in addition to that. Unless you are in a game with a certain kind of style where there's minimal dice rolling. If you're in a game where there's very little dice and it's more narrative and I don't know, diceless and story based, I guess. Then you could, when you do roll the dice, you could use that. But if you are in normal D&D games or normal, the normal role-playing games, where dice rolling is near constant, then I wouldn't recommend rolling out all the time. Just every once in a while. Last night, I had a hard time thinking of like a reasonable time for when people could roll on this board, and I came up with, well, if people use some of their fortune, basically their luck, they burn a few points of that to improve a die roll or something like that. Then the next time they roll, they have to roll on this. So it's more of, it was more of a compulsion. Not that it's always negative. Sometimes it's positive too, but it's like, the Wheel of Fortune, or, the roll of the die, or the luck of the die, the cut of the cards. You don't know what you're going to get. And it depends on, like I said, on the context of what's happening in the game. And what, it's also for inspiration. A game master has a lot going through in his mind. He's a lot to deal with. He's got to, manage the rules and the players and the antagonists and the NPCs. And he's got to verbally, convey all this information. And it can be a lot. Sometimes it's hard to come up with just inspired little doodads here and there on the fly. So this can help, The dice kind of does it for you. It rolls on a certain symbol, and then you look on the sheet and you see, like, it's sorcery or ruin or something like that, or protection. And it gives you a certain idea or a flash of inspiration, or somehow you see that you can fit that into the story in this other way. And sometimes it'll work like a charm. Other times, like when I rolled on Bloodshed, I couldn't really fathom how I was going to use that. But then knowing his character and the encounter that he just had, and the monsters that they were facing, I kind of realized that, oh yeah, it would fit that he would have this unbridled hatred and bloodlust for, and try to destroy all of them, their whole tribe or civilization or whatever. And that just led from one thing to another. It changed the scope of the game, as I said, so much that you do want to use it sparingly, because it's a very powerful, it's more powerful than I realized. Anyway, that's that. So if you want to make one yourself, that's cool. I don't think this is popular, or this would be popular enough to, I don't know, to make a lot of money at, or, to try mass producing these. But if you, instead of, creating your own, if you want me to make one for you, I don't know, I would have to consider that very carefully, and I would have to come up with some sort of price. I don't know, maybe $60 for one. I don't know. I mean, a fair amount of time, just the stain alone. I had to pay like $20 just for this big can of stain. It'll last me for a decade, but you can't buy like a tiny bit of stain. You gotta buy like a whole thing, and it's good stain. It's from it's just down the street. I can't even remember where I got the stain from. Anyway, that's not important. The wood burner, I think that wood burner was like $250, $300, maybe $350. So anyway, all things considered, if you want to make yourself one just like this and you didn't have any of the supplies, it would cost you literally hundreds of dollars. So if you really, really want one, and you don't want to make it yourself, I suppose I could be persuaded. But yeah, the low end would be like $60. If you want me to do something even more fancy than this, even more elaborate, feel free to suggest something. Maybe that would drive up the price. So, maybe one or two, perhaps even three people would be interested in that, which would be cool. That's it. One last thing. Liberation of the Demon Slayer. I know I've talked about this a ton. But this is my own self-published Lovecraftian science fantasy module, 68 pages. It's averages $18, $19 for the hard copy, or $9 PDF on RPG Now and DriveThruRPG. Also available on Amazon as a hardcover. Not hardcover, but as a hard copy. So please, buy it and talk about it, and maybe review it on one of those sites. Play it, give me feedback, let me know how it was, how I can improve the module for next time. Module number 2 that I'm already starting to think about, have ideas for. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, Cthulhu Fhtagn.